Okay, disabled those modes. Good. Reload.
What about he's trying to send John a guilt trip?
Hmm?
What about he's trying to send John a guilt trip?
Hmm.
Patching up.
Patch, go lie down. Oh, mic's open. Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Sebastian. We're only an hour late because I had massive tech issues. We're just gonna not talk about that, right? Linux, the operating system that gives you more performance if you know how, and then treats you like a little bitch afterwards because you maybe not doing things right, or maybe it just decides one day that's what it's wanting to do. But I managed to fix it, build a new kernel, all is good. Hi, Vonnie. So let's remind ourselves we have a game-ish. Okay, so I did one change last night, sort of off stream, which is we added a new parameter, basically now enabling us, allowing us to enable a vsync yes or no. I think that's all I did in there. Let me Yeah. It's just the VSync support and the CLI input parameters for that. That's all I did there on my own. But more importantly, if we go and also I added one thing to the run file. We'll see that happening in a second. Make clean and make run two. And all it does is just wrap it quickly into the Mango Hut so we can get a little FPS overview. I just thought that'd be quite cool to have. But let's remind ourselves where we were last night, or sorry, yesterday afternoon. We should have things with, yes, sound and music. We, and his collisions and music and all is good. And as a matter of fact, I may have wanted I apologize. Make run two. That's what I wanted. Because what I did forget to just look at. So we have here the Mango Hut. We see the frames per second, and okay, we're fairly CPU bound, by the way. Like it's a lot of CPU that we're using, which okay, fine. But if we hit M, I see no muting. Did we not? I'm sure that was implemented. Huh. Ha ha ha. Let me. No, no. Slime Dodgers, bring you up. Wait, there is a way, I think, to drill down into different functions, no? Yes, but I want. Oh, yes. You can just here. I think you can just go and jump into another function like this. Nice. Space. Did we? Let me go and check out chapter 15 quickly. Can we actually see git stash help? Is there a way to see what's on the stash? Yes, there's git stash show. Git stash show. Did I put something on the stash? No. No, I did not. Is this in the audio controller? I don't. No, the audio controller shouldn't take any of that in. If anyone, then it's the core library that may do this for us. Initialize, update, unload content. No. Did I forget to do something here in chapter 15 in the audio controller? I feel like we'd done this yesterday. Let me core class. So this is just getting the audio controller, which we know we have because it's, we heard game sounds. Song, yes. Audio play song. Theme song, yes. But all that should be working because we are hearing those effects. And yeah, there is the management, and that is in the actual game. In not check collisions, it's check keyboard input. And there it is. Yeah. If M, OM plus, OM minus, that should have definitely done something then. That could be because of Mango Hut maybe interfering. I'm not sure. Or we just. So okay, actually, this is in chapter 15. Do I see this in main? Did I? Can we see the like history? I would like to see and understand how this was pulled in. Can we find that? At a VSync support that was new yesterday, yes, and then no. Well, actually, it should be under pull requests, even if it's a closed one, but I should still see them. Actually, I went in the wrong here. Go and show me all the closed. I don't see 15 being pulled into main. Chapter 13. And then first audio was the sound effects and music. And so I think I've never done a pull request. That doesn't sound right. Chapter 15. Says done. Hey, see what happens if we try and pull 15 into main. Then yes, new audio controller. Chord changed. Um, and then there's the actual game itself where media player, yes, that all looks fine. There's the audio handling. Okay, yeah, I didn't actually do a pull request from yesterday. Whoops.
Oopsie doopsie.
Yeah, we could call that a whoopsie doopsie, maybe even a fucky wucky, but it's fine. That is really on me. I should have been sort of more on top of that, I think. Whoops. It's fine. We have a conflict. And so it wants us to do things. We want to fetch chapter 15. Check out a new branch and test the changes. Okay. Let's try and see what happens. So I'm on git fetch from origin. That's upstream origin. And then chapter 15 into 15 into chapter 15. I think that's what we're just mapping, like from the origins branch. To what we're doing locally here. Git switch, not got, git switch chapter 15. Git, oh. Sorry. Git status for a second here. Git switch to main, okay. And then we git merge no fast forward. Chapter 15. Okay, and this is where we now have the conflicts, fair enough. Merge changes, stage changes, so the resolve and merge editor. Go and show me what the problem is. This is actually then the correct version. Can I just do that for this particular one? If you have more changes, then I don't want to just accept all of them. This accept the incoming. All right. And then the next one down here. So what's happening here? Yeah, that's accept the incoming, that's fine. And same here. Because that is after we've reworked the audio system. Okay, complete that merge. And you apparently are happy. Continue that. Let's sign that ourselves. And off you go. And then I just need to close this pull request, I believe. Yeah, I think we'll just close this pull request because we've just done this manually. Yeah, I believe if we now go git clean, not git clean, make clean and make run 2 even for like getting the performance thing, then we should now have a running working Jingamabobber with even keyboard interaction. Okay, and M works, and we can turn it down, and we can turn it up. Perfect. Yes, we can now finally move on to chapter 16. I do believe that is where we are right now. And so we're now starting to work towards a point where we are working on UI elements, user interface, okay? And one of the first things you probably want to do is work with fonts. Now, graphics cards, they have no clue what a font file is and how to work with it. So what you normally end up doing is you make an image containing the entire alphabet and all the numbers and symbols in the font you want in a single picture. Right, so literally you have a picture. Let's say it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all nicely gridded out like we have in the text atlas. Just each single letter and digit symbol nicely lined up, and then that's how you define a sprite font essentially. And then we will basically learn how to do this right how. I have got 2 fonts sort of chosen here that I would like, both from Google Fonts, and for the just normal UI stuff that anyone should be able to read is like Roboto. I like this. It's a very sans serif, you know, it doesn't have any frills and extras to it. Anyone can easily make this out-ish. And then we have Baricito, Baricito, whatever. I just found this playful enough for a game, maybe, right? To sort of maybe break up the monotony of what we're doing. But yes, we have a whole chapter ahead of us, which probably means I want to go and branch this out first. Something like this, create a new branch. Ja, das ist gut. Good. We are in chapter 16, so understanding sprite fonts. Let's actually quickly sort of work through this. And so one of the reasons we're not doing fonts in a different way, and why we're just reusing essentially our texture atlas, is because it makes it really easy to just transport to any platform. Think about it, just little images and then a sort of generic textual description of how this image refers to or reverts to into a font, or how relates to a font, I should say. And like this is a literal description of such a font where you just say, hey, this is the font name, this is the usual size of it, the spacing, kerning information has to do with where the font is aligned on the baseline in terms of if it can go below it. So things like squared where it goes above the actual normal limits of your line, things like that, they are all described in kerning as far as I understand. What kind of style, so like bold, italic, all that, and where the character region starts and ends. So basically what we are seeing here, this is why I pulled up an ASCII table. So what is an ASCII table? It's a table of characters, printable and non-printable, that can also be used to control the computer. So, for example, when typewriters back in the old days, they were serially connected, and when they needed to send a line break, they would actually send a line feed. So that's a number 10 they would have sent, essentially, which, as a symbol doesn't mean much to us. But if you go just a little bit further in this list, there's all sorts here. There's like a carriage return, so you wouldn't just get a line feed, but you would get the carriage returning to the beginning of the typewriter, right? But more importantly, once you go past 32, or to the 32 number decimal, you essentially get two printable characters, space. Number 33 is exclamation mark, and so forth. If you keep going a little bit, number 48, for example, is 0. 49 is 1, and so forth. These are then the actual symbols in the middle here that are being printed for that. Okay, so all the printables are between 32 and 127, usually. I don't know if I would call delete a printable character necessary, but sure. It's more to me of a control character, but neither here nor there. And we're not going to worry about the extended ASCII codes. We're just not going to worry about that. But anyways, yes, this is how we're basically saying, hey, this is where our characters are. And interesting enough, they're only going up to 126 because, yes, again, delete isn't exactly a printable character. It's a control character. It's deleting something. So cool. But yeah, that's how you in text just say, hey, I give you a picture essentially at some point, right? But I just care about the characters between 32 and 126. So, that's essentially this list here of our printable characters. And if we see our alphabet in here, literally in alphabetical order, first the capitals, then a few more symbols, and then all the lower cases. And yeah, that's basically how we're going to define it. Okay, and so we want to be making sprite font files, .sprite font, and we want to have our true type font or OTF files. So from what I understand, the TTF format is actually sort of going extinct a little bit. It's sort of deprecated, and we should be using OTF or WOFF. They're basically open file formats for fonts. So you place the font file in the same folder as the sprite file directory, not through the MGCB editor. We can do that. Right, and then update the font name element to include the exact file name with extension. Okay. And then use fonts with permissive licenses like CIL open font license to ensure you can legally use them in your game. Always check the license for any font you use, of course. If you so wished, you could even make your own font, but that's a little bit out with this particular stream. Might be something for when we're doing something in Godot. I don't know yet. And you want to think about, how big the font a bigger font you want to make it, depending on the maximum resolution you're planning for, the style, yes, all that. It needs to look good. Spacing between characters can be increased. Nice. Use kerning. Kerning adjusts the spacing between specific pairs of characters for more visually pleasing result. Oh, right. Okay, so that's actually putting things like. I'm trying to think of an example. Like in French, you have A and E very close together. So with kerning, you can basically, instead of just having A and E as separate letters, you can actually say, hey, well, actually kerning, we're doing some kerning and go negative and bring them together to sort of make that combined character. Cool.
Merge.
Well, not quite merge them. Because it depends on how the character is being created. You could basically make
That's for the non-techies.
yeah. Yeah. And then here, character regions exactly as I thought, which characters to include. And sprite bridge draw string, which font, just pass in a string, the position and the color, and that is all there's really to it. It's not all that terrible. You can even scale it and have effects on it. So again, this feels very familiar from our texture drawing, from our texture atlas and all that, from our sprites. Okay, so sprite font class actually provides a measure string method that returns the dimensions of rendered text. So that's interesting. You can. Doesn't that mean that essentially the font would scale with the size of the game automatically, more or less, if you do it right? That's sort of what it sounds like. Let's implement this in our game, shall we? So first we need to go and make an asset, and we are at least properly checked out, thank goodness. Let's grab MGCB editor and is it okay? So in the tutorial, sorry, they do have a font actually included, and I don't know if I particularly like it, if I'm being honest. Let's quickly look at the result that we should be getting. I mean, that would work for now. We can always add more things later, right? We can always vary later on. So maybe don't get too fancy right now. Exactly. Don't get too fancy, motherfuckers. Keep it simple, stupid. There's a reason why we have that in engineering and things. We make a new folder. It's called fonts. Yes, and then I shall add a new item. Yep, because it's a sprite font description for a font called 04B_30. Okay, yeah, there's our sprite font description. Let's go and save the actual asset database and then let's build it. Okay, and it's not happy because it can't actually find and know what to do with that definition. Let's go and fix that, shall we? So first off, in fonts, can we? I'm curious. Can I just make another quick? Oh yeah, here. Just bring me that into another terminal. Put you to the side. We're here in fonts. Okay, cool. I have a font file here that I need to go and quickly just copy link and then say wget, and basically to download that file straight into here into fonts. Yes, that's us in assets, and here yes, that's where I want it to be. Good. I've done this. Let's. Oh wait, that ain't gonna work. We need to actually give it the sprite font description, and I will quite happily just open this or copy this into the sprite font description. Maybe we'll actually just go and change the file to make it a bit more clear what everything is. I like actually the fact of having things documented here. This size is going to be 17.5. Spacing 0. Use kerning true. Okay. It's a regular style, and the character region. All right. Character regions is a character region. Start, end. Yeah, this should be fine. So let's grab you again and try and have you build again. And it's now been able to build the sprite font. Nice. Did I forget anything? I'm just making sure. No, it's a thing that needs to be built, so this is fine. We are done with that. What are we doing now? We've done this part, and now we update the game already. Sure. Where? Okay, we're making a few properties here. Oh, see that top screen of mine? It basically turns off after 3 hours or so. We need to go and say thank you. Don't need you. We don't need probably most of this right now. Go up. All the way here. Movement speed, and actually let's put this under the sound somewhere. Yeah, somewhere here. And then they're private fields, so no need to go and be quite as explicit. Sprite font, and we'll just call that font, I suppose, for now. Score to keep track of. Okay, sure, I can do that. Private. Score text position. Sorry, such a good job. Oops. Private. That's another vector. 2 because we want the score text origin. Alright, I guess. Right, okay, I'm just not even gonna, because I don't think this is actually gonna remain long. This is in the initialize, I'm sure. Hey, my username is gone. How are we doing? What we doing? We are at the moment fairly straightforward, just following the monogame tutorial. At the moment, chapter 16, learning a bit of UI elements, fonts specifically right now. Then we're going to do a bit of scene management, refine our UI, but just learning to program really. But at the moment, yes, very busy with monogame, and we're just about done implementing actually this first part of the UI implementation where we can display fonts. So let me go and grab the load content stuff because we want to probably now go and load the font in, right? It's probably content load, I take it. Yeah, content load other sprite. Oh, sprite font, please. And that'll be under fonts / 04B_30. There should be no ending required because this is actually going through the content manager from what I'm seeing here. Yeah. Cool. And now we just need right, okay, yeah, let me go and find the collision checks quickly here. So during collision check, when we do the bounce, no, sorry, when the bat gets redrawn, where's that here, collect, we're going to just increase the score here, right? Yeah. Plus equals 100. Add 100 points for every bat we eat. And then draw the score and that's it. Okay, this is, it's a little ugly for now, but it'll do us. Let me go and find my draw call, thank you. Oh, having that actually there is so much quicker. And we'll just yeet it in here, but I don't like it in there, but we will just, for now, be happy to show off the effect. And yeah, this is what we're doing. We draw a string this time. There's a font that we're adding. This is our score, and basically this is an interpolated string which has the word score within a colon and a space, and then in those two brackets we basically just take the actual string, integer actually, our score, and just dump it in there, but it automatically inside actually runs a toString conversion. Color white, because that's the color it chose. I would like something more visible to me, like I need contrast. So maybe yellow green on top of white with that blue. Yeah, that's maybe gonna do something. Okay. Shall we try? I would say we make clean and then make run. Maybe even run 2, it doesn't matter. Okay, let me go on mute and shift F12, and there's a score of 0 right now, and there's a score of 100 and 200. I like that color, by the way. That is nice and readable for me. Okay, cool. I would like to understand how you derived the origin, which you just done here, and you essentially say that. All right, okay, and then you used the measure string. I mean, room bounds left is the x and y is the height of a single tile divided by 2, or half of it, essentially, yes, that makes sense. And you've essentially measured the string's height in like .y, half that, and that's how you define the origin for the y, and made the x being 0. Is that? Yeah. Yeah. But yay, we basically have our very first bit of UI. As simple and ugly as it may be for now. Added sprite font rendering. And that essentially finishes chapter 16. We also added sprite font definition 404 b_30 and added the asset TTF asset for 04b_30 then that is essentially it. And also rendering score during entity collision, because that's exactly what we're doing. Commit. Yep, go. With that, what I would like to do, I imagine you're gonna, yep. New pull request, pull that in. Codeberg. It's actually also in the pin. You can literally jump on yourself. Hey, Kunal Tvaskar, how are you doing over there on YouTube? It's all good, it's all good. But yeah, this is just a simple, straight up create, merge, commit, and say hurrah. Yes'm. And with that, we can, what I would like to do always is check out main, bring those changes back to us, and then we can now go and work on chapter 17. And so this is scene management. Yeah, no, normally scenes are, from what I understand anyways, before we actually jump into this, they are normally either different parts of the map, any full screen UI or any UI that's sort of overlaid, it's normally its own scene. So anytime you maybe change between different tabs on a UI menu, you could be looking at a different scene being loaded in and instantiated. Every time you say in Zelda go from one room to another, that is a new scene being loaded in. Not that that is true for Zelda, by the way. They did things very, very differently back then. But you know, just in terms of thinking about it. And so we're learning about the basic life cycle of the game class. We've already learned about that, but we now basically need to go and create our own scene class, which isn't all that terrible. Scene constructor, there's methods to it, sure. And it has a disposable implementation, which, yeah, I can see why. Because again, like sound, we don't want to like keep anything open here. I think in this case, even when a scene is, you don't necessarily need to throw it away, but I think it makes more sense to say, okay, once the main menu is closed, don't keep it open somewhere in the background. Just throw that bastard away and keep the resources free for the game to run the update cycle as fast as possible. And then okay, so the core library will have a change apparently. It's quite a few things changing. I think the entire core library is changing almost, but it's fine. That's a good thing because it future proofs us. Um, and then we're making a new version of a sprite font, of the same sprite font we already have, by the way. Just, yeah. And then we're making actual scenes. Okay, cool. This actually it's not too terrible. It really isn't. I am actually due a break soon-ish. I'm wondering if we should just jump into an early break quickly, so we can then charge full steam ahead into the scene management in like one coherent, nice piece, rather than me starting to now uh, set up the scene class, and no, I think we'll do it afterwards. So I'm gonna go on my first break right now. For those that are interested, of course, I have linked the repos in the description, or sorry, in the chat. And with that, if you like any of this sort of content, if you want to see more of it, if you have any questions, give me a like, a follow, subscribe, leave a comment down below in the doobly-doo, all that good stuff. I will be back in 3 to 5, and we shall continue our journey in learning to do programming in probably not the most efficient way, but in a way that I enjoy immensely. With that, I will be back momentarily. See you all soon. And with that, I am back. So yes, let's jump into this. Yes, I was wondering if that was up to date and working. Okay, we make. We'll probably want a new branch, right? That seems like the reasonable first thing to do before we go and change anything on main. Like, let's not do that. And for now, bring me into please the game library. We need a new folder. Trying to think about this actually. Is this really just how I want this managed? Maybe for now. Maybe for now we'll see. There's a new file in here, and this is called a scene.cs because we basically need to define how such a thing would look like in general, right? Namespace, novice game library, no, not comma, dot, scenes. Yeah, actually, the more I see it, the more that makes sense. Public class scene. It's a public abstract class, apparently. Okay. So that means it won't actually have its own implementations of anything. Abstract class scene, and it's disposable. Okay. It needs a protected content manager content, and it needs a getter for those. That's for that. Okay. And public bool is disposed, which has a private setter and a normal public getter. 2 seconds. Let me try. Yes, I'll wind myself better. There we go. I probably would like some documentation on this, so I will happily copy that in there. Have the formatter run over it. Then we apologies. We ctor this. It's a constructor we need here, right? Creates a new scene instance, and the scene itself will take no parameters to construct. New content manager for dot content service provider. Interesting. What is this? Gets the service provider instance used by this content manager. Okay. So this creates just a content manager for the scene and attaches it, I think, to the other content manager. So that, like, you're not running multiples thereof, but you can still have scenes with their own content pipeline, essentially. Nice. Then what else are we doing? Let me just do like so for content dot root directory. Oh. It being the same as core dot content root directory. Okay. So all the assets are living in the same place, essentially. That's what we're defining here. We could probably separate this out if you needed to, but maybe there's no need. Now we need God, where is it? This is a destructor, essentially. It's the exact opposite of the constructor that we've built previously there. Dispose. No. Why? Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's a finalizer. It's the same as the destructor. It's the same thing. Okay. Thank you so much for dropping in. Finalizer. It's called when the object is being destroyed, right? Or cleaned up, actually. Yeah. When object is cleaned by garbage collector. Garbage collector. So the garbage collector is essentially this program that runs in the background, if you want to call it that makes sure that any sort of resources if you freed up, the garbage collector will find them and actually free that memory up, so you don't actually have to do that. This is why this is called a managed memory language, and C, for example, is an unmanaged memory language, where you have to literally assign every byte of memory you need, and you need to free it. Very important there. But we still have also a I want to say a need to behave very nicely when we talk to memory and when we talk to certain resources, and not just have them floating around, and still say, hey, we expect certain behaviors from our classes and our things. Okay. Yeah, well, we're not quite done that. So now we need some other functionalities. Let me paste in just the remark, and it's a public virtual void initialize. Now, as far as I understand, with a void, writing this in a drive class, ensure that base inertia stored class is when load content is called. Okay, I'm not sure about the way I've understood it is virtual classes are, or virtual functions are, functions that can be overridden from an outside context. Think. Need to look up on that. And all we're doing is just load content. Public, there's another virtual void loads content, in which we do nothing actually. Yeah, I think this is also a way of defining a function and saying, hey, you need to somehow implement this when you make a child of this class. So if we were to now go and inherit scene, we actually would need to make sure that functions like initialize and load content are implemented by ourselves. That's, I think, what I'm seeing here. And I think the rest I'm just going to copy very quickly, because it sort of follows that same pattern. And what we're basically saying here is, with load content. Right, so initialization basically requires us to also load content. On unload content, we basically say content unload, but this is then coming from the content class passed in from the outside, making sense. And here's the actual iDisposable implementation. This is just boilerplate. This is literally just And you don't know, yes. XNA framework. Missing XML comment, we can absolutely give you a description. This describes a basic scene to inherit / or derive from. That's the word I was looking for. Something like that. Okay. Okay, now we need to actually go and change our call library quite a bit to deal with all of that. Let me go and first clean up code. Let me go and clean up these guys because everyone's complaining about a lot of things here. This holds an instance of an audio controller. Okay. Yeah, that is obvious. That was me not properly doing that, I imagine. And oh, it's SFX. It's called. That's also me. Yeah, it doesn't. There is no parameter. Okay. And this is just unloading. Ensure audio controller is disposing any freed audio effects, sound effects, SFX. Something like that. Free my mind, just free my resources. And then a bunch of non-nullable shit. Are we still doing this, really? Sure. Theme song as well. So you're basically saying any of this could be 0, so it's up to me to make sure it's not. Right, just shh. Stop complaining. Right. This is a rather big change actually, and I should have separated that out a little nicer, but added scene abstract class to inherit from derived from. Also, do we want to call that code cleanup code cleanup / XML documentation? Just because that's been updated with that as well. Right. Sure. Publish that branch out. Let's go through the core instance and or the core library and see if we can get this fixed up. So there's those two, that is all fine. Now we need two extra variables. So this is a private static scene called active scene, and another private static scene next scene. Okay, that's basically how you would then line up your transitions, I figure. Do we have an unload content? Let's initialize. There's update. There's unload content. Okay. Right. So we go through update. Basically catch if we need to exit. And then we're doing something here where if there's a next scene waiting to be switched to, then transition to that scene. Okay. If there is a next scene waiting to be switched to, transition to that scene. And I guess this should have been a normal XML comment. I did not do this right. No, that's wrong. That's not what you're doing. Just leave that because it's just an if statement that we're putting in here. Where was it? So if is not null, then transition. Not that that function exists currently, but we will make it in a minute, I figure. Then if there is an active scene, update it. Okay, that makes sense, I think. So if active scene is not null, right, then active scene dot update. Oh, you do need the game time. You need to pass it in the delta time. And then do base update, yeah. And then where's my draw call? So I have a few formatting things there, that's fine. Hmm. Okay, I don't think that we do have a draw call at the moment here. Right, okay, so this is all new stuff that we're making here. Unload content. Um, so this was under update. We did first if next scene is null, and then if active scene is null. And so we'll do the next one here, that's fair. So we'll now add a public override void draw. It taking in some game time of delta time, game time. If active scene, again, not null. Active scene draw. I think this is just a way for us to pass in those calls straight into the scenes. This is why we're doing this, and then we're basically kind of saying here base draw with game time. And then I believe change scene. Okay, no, change scene is just swap scenes out between active scene and next. It's just like this is a bit silly to just type out. Honestly, this is that self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. We'll go under the draw call. We'll dump it in here. Is it protected? And then this is then how we transition scenes. Okay. So just fixing a few import mistakes. Well, it's not so much an import mistake, just I decided to obviously rename things. What do you mean active scene doesn't exist in the current context? I'm sure oh. If you could spell right, that would be helpful. And then that quite a few times there, it's fine. And yeah. Change current scene. Just where is yeah. It's a protected ensures draw calls are passed through, right? Ensures draw calls are passed into the scene. That's literally all this really does. Okay, so we've basically done the first part of that, of actually preparing the scene management. Now comes more preparations, more UI elements. So why don't we go and make a commit of this? And this is now, before I do that, actually, does it make build, see if it actually builds. Oh, geez. I need a good stretch there. Still missing comments, but you build. So let me. This is create a new texture atlas from a texture region, not a texture, because that's what we're passing in here. Texture to turn into atlas. Tile set has similar issues. Yeah, missing XML comment. This creates a new tile set in a texture region and calculates each individual tile heights and widths. Tile widths. Widths. And heights. And you can't do that. Okay, we'll do it like this. And texture region. Texture region containing the tile map or tile sets, tile set. Yeah, it's just width of tile of each tile and height of each tile. And then the input manager on. Oh. Just hoping that's fine now. And whereas the input manager also has apparently a complaint itself is not documented at all. So this holds an instance of an input manager. Unifying all input devices. I feel like that's sort of what we're really doing here. Curious, if we do this again, will we still get warnings? And build succeeded, not a single warning. How awesome. So this is now a bit of a bigger commit again. We implemented scene management in Novice Game Library. Right, and we additionally also additional XML documentation we're missing. Yes, and please sync. Okay. Now the next thing you want me to do is to sure. We're changing our assets slightly. Let me open the MGCP editor. Fonts, we're making a new one, basically new. Hey Wesk, nice to see you. It's a new sprite font. And this is going to be 04B_30 X5, not 5X. Do I want to? Yeah, I will name it like that. I'm learning. That's what all this is, right? This is me learning something that I've never done before, and it's going to be interesting. I love it, actually. I'm just thinking before I jump into something like Godot or like let's call the big ones Unreal Engine or Unity. I wanted to understand the basics of game programming first, and I felt Monogame was a really good way of sort of riding that knife's edge between not needing to worry about every single 3D primitive, but yet understanding how games are being made. So Monogame is essentially a game library. It's a game engine in the very loose terminal sense that you don't have a UI to work with, right? You don't get like a nice Godot or like Unity game manager, game designer, world designer, level designer, or anything like that. Anything in Monogame is done in code. Imagine it almost like SDL maybe for C++, something like that. But more derived or focused around actual games. And so I'm learning this basically by following the tutorial and sort of taking my own little how would you say, my own little twist on things, sometimes changing things and just learning how this stuff all works. This is only my like 5th stream or so doing anything with programming, so I'm still very new at all this. But I like my tiling window managers, and so I'm just sort of messing around and having fun, I guess, right? So in fonts, we need to go into this 5x sprite font, and I have a definition here which we're just going to actually let's do it the other way around. We're going to take your definition, we're going to apply it in here, but we'll change the size to yes, I'm using Hyperland on CachyOS. So it's been an interesting journey for me because I was up until last month, I want to say, I've been streaming on Windows exclusively. Mostly games, Factorio, Satisfactory, stuff like that. And I decided at some point to switch over to Linux because I was just sick of the constant extra bloat that was coming in with every single Windows update. And it was an experiment over a weekend. I installed Cachy as on a little partition somewhere. I was like, I just want to see what happens if I install like Steam and just run one of my games, and I was seeing one of us. Yeah, but so and I was seeing almost double the frames in Steam games, even through Proton layer, and as opposed to what I was seeing on Windows. I was like, yeah, I'm changing to Linux. I'm going hard, and I actually, yes, removed my entire Windows partition. I changed everything over to now running through Btrfs and Ext4. I have no need for big ZFS things, but. And then I was looking at DEs. I was like, I hate KDE. I hate GNOME. I hate them with a passion by now. For me, GNOME died when Fedora started touching it, and it became this weird empty window where if you just touched the right corner and you touched it just inappropriately enough, it was showing you things, and I didn't like that. And KDE from day one, it was just, to me, it's like, okay, you're copying just what Windows is doing, right? Yes, you're dressing it up nicer maybe, but you're still just copying that same paradigm of there's a start button somewhere down there and you push it and things pop up and you select from them. And then I've been watching Soding on YouTube quite a lot. And I'm sure he uses something like i3 or something. I don't actually know. And here's the thing though, Kashi makes it really easy to try out these different desktop environments. And I tried a few of the tiling ones, and none of them really vibed with me as hard as Hyperland did. Hyperland just, I love it. Like I love this whole ability of let me just go and grab you and chuck you over here, right? And I want to say, hey, I want to swap that. I just love that whole thing. Like honestly, things like this sort of resizing on just meta on and right mouse click. I love that. Why do we have in almost every other window manager we have to find this hidden little doohickey in the corner or on the side and try and resize by that? It's fucking painful. But I'm still learning all this, so you know I'm still very much a noob in all this. Anyways, monogame, what's the sprite font size here? I think one would be 87.5. Something like these. The font name doesn't change and nothing else changes. Okay, so it really is. I just wish, and I'm gonna just be honest here. I just wish any of the tiling window managers, any of them, even Hyperland has failed in this. You know, the first thing they should do is have a picture, something on the desktop right there without you needing to know any buttons. Just a little graphic saying, here's your most important keyboard shortcuts. Here is how you do things. Because I found myself in BPWSM, I think it was called, but not from the get-go. Not as a native install. You install it the first time. You don't have that first touch interaction. I've never seen it. Like I've installed i3, and it was just the naked. Here's a desktop. Good luck. I didn't even know how to launch a browser, if I'm being honest.
Go ahead.
And BPWSM was for me the same feel. I can't even remember the other ones that are in CashOS, but I tried a few of them and I just couldn't gel well with most of them. And then I ran into Hyperland. And to be fair, at this point, I had sort of figured, you know what, I'm going to have my phone nearby if I'm going to get stuck. I can look up at least any shortcuts I need. And then sort of figured out, you know, WinR was sort of the most important one once you have Wolfie installed.
He either wants you to pet him or not. Because he keeps hanging out with you.
No, he's just in circles. But I just found that. Yeah, I've never seen that actually as a first time experience. Whenever I installed i3, it was always just, here's a desktop, good luck. But never just that Windows somewhere sitting, hey, this is what you're supposed to push to do things. And maybe I've just didn't use the right distributions. I've tried this on Linux Mint. I tried this on Fedora, I tried this on Debian. Every single time it was just always this painful experience of, okay, yay, I have this really nice, nifty, small desktop environment, but no clue on what to do with it now. Because hitting Meta or a Windows key almost never does anything. You need always Windows and something else. So, I must have just had a really bad experience, and incidentally. And that's just sometimes how it apparently goes, right? Let me go and build our new assets pipeline, which now has a 5 times the size of the original font. And we're making new scenes. Okay. And this is where we now jump out of the library. We now go into our actual game here. And let's go and make a new folder, and we'll call it scenes, because here's where we actually create our game scenes. And the first one we're going to make is a title scene. And this goes, of course, going to be in namespace slime dodger dot scenes. Why you not? Could be because it's never been built in that with that context, but it's fine. So this is the namespace, and this is just a class inherited. Yeah, public class title scene scene, and that should allow us to inherit that from our library. No, like, here's the thing, like, once you get to a point of where you have access to that documentation, it's absolutely fine. You can work your way through any other problems. I just found the initial exposure always very painful. And maybe I just need to give it another shot on a maybe just VM and just trying to see what happens when you just install i3. But for me, honestly, I did this over the I did this whole weekend experimentation where I reinstalled my actual working machine, I don't know, about 10 times. And I was like, okay, Cache, give me now i3. And it was just an empty, it was even black. There wasn't even a background picture. It was just a black screen with one bar on my main screen. And I have 4 of them, so, you know, things get a bit more complicated there as well, because I'm running NVIDIA and Intel. So I'm running through Optimus at the same time. Which, you know, it has its own little quirks and fun times. And I just found Hyperland to be the least aggravating and yet the cleanest way of doing a desktop. The whole GNOME KDE thing, or the way we do it in Windows disappear. Like, little windows, little dialogues, they just disappear, and you don't even know they've been open for that long because they're underneath everything. It just doesn't happen in a tiling manager. What do you mean Wayland was hell though? Like, I am this is a Wayland sesh. That was actually one of my requirements, if I'm being honest, to even and consider any modern desktop environment. I wanted it away from the X11. But let's go and make a title scene. And oh God, this is just a bunch of properties that we're gonna copy. I am not typing all this out. No, 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 no. So 2 strings there. Press enter to start. Fonts. Yeah, this is all the usual. I'm not going to worry about any of this. I would probably need a few usings here and there. Well, screen sharing, I don't know anything about that because I'm using a capture card. I because the thing is when you run Steam games, you don't really know whether you're going to be running through DK, no, VK D3D, like the Vulkan layer that implements their own, Direct 11, DirectX 11 or DirectX translation, or whether you're run on OpenGL, or whether you're coming through actual Wayland. You just don't know. And OBS is just painful. I'm gonna be honest. OBS is a pain to fucking work with on any operating system. And then to convince OBS to actually capture anything on a certain screen, no matter whether it's a game or apps, or it was just too much fucking around. And I ended up saying, you know what? No, I have a capture card. Just use it. So whatever goes to my middle screen, I basically have it 1, 2, 3, and then 1 at the top where my OBS sits at the top. But my middle screen is my gaming screen and my sort of main where I, show you my content on. And honestly, yeah. No, OBS itself works. I've had a few gremlins this morning. This was ugly. It was basically I was opening OBS and my NVIDIA 4060 was 100% bogged out on the GPU without even streaming, without recording, just OBS open. Right, that was nasty. This is why my stream actually started an hour later. Ended up recompiling my kernel and adding a bunch of modules to MKinit CPIO. I think that's what it's called. Make sure that NVIDIA modules and the Intel modules were getting early loaded. That seems to have resolved it, but touch wood, touch all the wood. But no, capturing things was just painful, honestly. So I just ended up saying, you know what, nah, we'll just run it through a capture card. Okay, we're gonna using a Microsoft XNA dot framework. We shall need you. Yeah, framework graphics. What else are you needing? Some documentation would be cool. This holds the title saying simple as. Initialize. And the first thing we do is the base initialize, which basically forces us to run the load content thing to remind ourselves. Here in initialize, once initialize gets hit up from the base class, essentially we actually hit upload content, which we still need to implement too, but this is how we force to actually make sure we have content to display, such as assets and fonts and what have you not. I'm just copying documentation here because I am somewhat lazy in typing. Exit on escape is true. That's for this scene. Okay, that's actually cool. Alright, well, on the title screen, we can enable exit on escape so the player can close the game by pressing escape key. And I guess on the game scene, we're actually going to say, well, if you hit escape, you're not going to exit the game, but instead we're just going to pop up some other scene. We haven't probably defined that scene yet from what I'm seeing here, but let's just, this is a blind copy paste because it's straightforward. Why you weird format? No. Oh, I forgot one of them there, right? go and fix, please? Thank you. So what are we doing actually? We're setting the position origin, of course, but we measure the entire size of our that's what we're calling our game, by the way. Let's do it like that. Do an actual refurbishment of those, or the refactoring. I can English, honestly. And then we load content. Let's do that. So this is public override load content, in which we probably base no because that's already been called. Yeah. Font is core, right? Core content. Content dot load sprite font. Of name fonts 04B underscore 30, I think it was. 04B, yeah, I got that right. And then we need the other font, the 5X font, basically doing the same, except for it still has the 5X at the end there. Override what we're overriding this time, the update function, okay? Update, which yes, we need to pass in game time. If core dot input keyboard, excuse you, keyboard was key just pressed, right? Yep. If keys dot escape, oh, there we go. And in that case, core dot change scene to what scene? A new game scene, which we haven't created yet, but it's fine. Oh my god. Oh my god, yeah, I'm copying that draw call. That's a it's not even terribly complicated. It's just a lot of variable setting. And we can literally just work through this and say, hey, all this essentially does is it sets up a new background of 32, 40, 78, whatever color that is, with full opacity. So we have no transparency. It's fully opaque. You have a drop shadow set to half transparency, half gray, essentially. And this is where are we? I there, slime text. We need to go and get that right. And anything else that is now Dodger. But it's literally just drawing text in very specific positions. 10 pixels off of dungeon text position, you then, so it's sort of going to be offset to the bottom right by 10 pixels roughly. Yeah, this is I'm not too worried about this. This is literally just a very repetitive draw call. We need to initialize that title scene, and oh my god, nope. Sort of the same idea here. What was complained? Excuse you. Yep. That's a good question. What happened there? So you wanted me to make a title scene. Add the following override for the initialize. That's what we did here. Public override void. Yes. And then draw. Think I may have ended up scrolling too far back or something, because this does not need to be. This is already a thing. Go away. And then the game scene. Okay, that's now the next one. Yeah, yes.cs. Let me go. Yeah, jump up here, and I'm just gonna copy a bunch of stuff from there quickly so we can save ourselves a little bit of time. This is not the title scene, this is the game scene. This holds the game level scene. Nope. And we're just going to very gently but forcefully copy and paste a bunch of properties there. This is all stuff that we've done so many times before. Now we're essentially even this is all gonna disappear out of the main Slime Dodger, because this is now how we're actually creating the game scene, and pretty much exactly the same way with the movement speed, our velocities, all that. We're gonna initialize this exactly the same with the bounds. That may break on us, but yeah, this is all fine. This is literally just repeating what we've been doing before, but just factoring it out into a nicer way of looking at it. We're missing a bunch of import, aren't we? So let's start with that. So we're going to need those usings. We'll also want XNA framework. Sound effects is also XNA framework as framework audio. What else? Sprite font also comes from that. It's from graphics. Core does not exist, are you sure? Because, you know, we can do just that. And here's our update function, okay? And there's our helper to basically assign those random velocities. This is all stuff that we can just bring in quite happily. This is using system, I'm sure, yes. And then game scene draw. That's when the draw call comes. My God, okay. I can't wait to factor all that out of the main game loop. Yes, yes, yes. The game scene is done. We now need to go in here and really clean up. My God, it's so short. It is also my break time, but let me. So the song has to stay for some reason. All right, we start playing the song straight up from here, but the rest is all happening there. My God, okay. Nope. So that's literally the only property that remains. The next thing that remains is this thing, the actual constructor. Right. The initializer stays somewhat, but just gets massively downsized. And load content stays somewhat. When I say somewhat, it also gets massively downsized. And update don't even exist anymore. There's no update call, there's no draw call, no. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. This is all stuff that doesn't have to be in the main game. That can literally all, yeah, help a function. So fecketh off of all of you. We initialize base initialize. We audio dot play song theme song. We then change scene to the title scene, I think. Oh, it's a new title scene. We're sort of careful there. So we need to construct that scene once, okay? That's it. And load content is basically just not even that, it's just theme song equals content dot load song, yes. In audio slash theme. That's all that remains of our main game now here. So all these imports that are now grey are, you know, we'll just bye-bye. Clean up the game. Now, just one question before I go on my break. Make clean, make release. Yes, no. if it builds, it ships, right? But in case, yeah, but with that, anyways, if you like this sort of content and you want to see more of it, give me a like, a follow, a subscribe, all that good stuff. We will be back in 3 to 5, and then we will get into what's called texture sampling and doing more UI things. Okay, we have a few errors, and we'll deal with that when I come back from my break. With that, I won't be long. See you all soon. And with that, I am back. So, yeah, I was basically just missing a one import here because I didn't know where circles came from. Circles, of course, are from our own library in shapes. And we have apparently a bunch of nullable fields. I'm not so interested in those. Give me the me having forgot to where are we right now? What's this file? Game scene. So this initializes. Is this a new game scene? Right, and load content also doesn't seem to be documented, so load content for the scene. Handle entity updates, dates before draw call, delta time, sort of always the same for that. As a private, so we don't care. Oh, that's a public override, so we need to go on scene draw call, basically where we handle everything, right? So this is again a delta time that we just pass in here. You want to go and do that again quickly? See how many warnings we can get down to. And as a matter of fact, I could have just looked into problems here, but it's fine. We have now 12. Okay, wait a minute. You're not happy with this file? What? Go and fix the file then.
No, no.
Missing XML comment. So this initializes a title scene. This is initializes a title scene. Missing comment for load content. Load content for this scene. Handle entity updates before draw call. And here's the actual draw call for the title scene. Handles drawing, or draw this scene. Draw this scene. Dereference of a possible null value. Are we sure? Can we just say that quite possibly it is okay to do just this and say, hey, we don't worry about this too much, okay? If something went wrong, then probably our assets have gone missing anyways, and we should be more concerned about what happened there. Tile map, I just gotta say, it may or may not be 0, just ignore it. I know what I'm doing. Do I fuck? But I can pretend. Slime, we'll just assume that those won't be 0, but you know, if you think they are, it's fine. Oh. No, tile map draw, the slime has the same problem there, the bat has the same problem at that point. And even the font says, we may or may not be 0, but again, if it's 0 at this point or null at this point, then we have much more concerning issues, because at that point the entire content pipeline failed on us. So right. Oh, game scene has issues. Thank you. We have issues apparently still. No. I did those. I dealt with those. But no, you're actually quite sure that there may be bad things happening. I think we're just going to ignore those warnings. I think we're going to just ignore those. And we're going to try make clean, make run. Can we run this piece of software that we made so far? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. We have a title scene, and if I hit enter, nothing happens. But escape works, okay. I feel like we haven't properly dealt with the title scene. Let me go into the title scene. Load content is an update call. If escape was pressed, then oh, that's wrong, I think. That sounds wrong. It's keys enter that we were looking for, and then that we're going, and then through the game scene. That's what should have been happening. Let's see. Okay, we indeed. Also, I feel like in the game scene, are you sure that we are supposed to close on escape? That's load content, and none of that is happening here. Oh, where is? I mean, we just copied this, so I assume that is what was the intent. What the intended behavior was for this part. Check keyword input. No, it's not. It's not the intended behavior. Check keyboard input. Yeah, you're meant to go to title scene. Let's see what's happening. Maybe I held escape too long. That could be a thing. That would be weird, but sure. So no, it goes and instantly closes. Oh wait, corrupted double linked list. That don't sound right. It's a new game scene, right? I mean, during initialization, core exit on escape is true. Yes, loading the fonts. Then on update, you just if core input keyboard was key just pressed, it was key just pressed. Yes, key enter. Change to the new game scene. Okay. Let's just bunch of draw calls to make yeah, that's to create the title screen. We're doing the clear, aren't we? Like core graphics device clear, yeah. And then in the game scene, all right, okay, so game scene, where's the initializer? This is way far down. We need to be way up here. Initialize core and exit. Yeah, that's set to false. Yeah, but see, it doesn't quite do that. It doesn't quite return. Is a sign, yep. And then we have load content, which just grabs the atlas definition from the text for the texture atlas. Loads the sprite font as well. Loads the audio, like all that normal stuff. There's nothing terribly interesting going on there. And then during update yeah, I think we need to actually make sure we're not doing these weird zero checks here. Okay. Slime update, bat update, yes. I don't think you are. There's nothing wrong there. And then comes the helper functions. Where is it? Assign random bat velocity. Like nothing terribly exciting happening there. And then we have check keyword input. That seems all fine. There's our mute, there is our volume up and down, which should all work perfectly fine. This is literally no different than what we did before. Let's try that again. I mean, we can increase our score, and escape just closes the game fully. That doesn't seem right. I'm gonna be honest here. And what we might do, we can debug this. Where is the best place to go and check this? I figure actually right here as we I'm just wondering something. And they're doing it in the example as well. Because look at this. We normally check if keyboard is key down, right? Then this is an instance of a keyboard info that we have derived out of core input keyboard. Literally the classes that we have gone and made in the Novice Game Manager. Okay, so I can literally drill down here, Novice, input, that'll be under, it's a keyboard info, right? Yeah, input keyboard info, that's exactly what it is. So why are we doing this if thing against the wrong instance? Shouldn't we just be testing that against like keyboard was key just pressed? And then have him do the change scene thing. That seems to make more sense to me. And this gamepad input, there's nothing special there. Let's try it out once more with that change in mind. If that doesn't work, we're going to need to actually start stepping through things again, do a bit of debugging. Probably a me. So muting works. Collecting points does work as well. And then it goes and does that again. Okay. And this is the game scene, which explicitly actually has set on the initialization. Let me load content. Where's the initialization? Yeah, initialize base initial core exit on escape is false. Like, that's the title scene created. That's the there's the game scene. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I've done wrong here, but let's go through this. We make our game, we derive it from the core library, we make sure we have the song available. We then create the actual game based out of the configuration that we've passed in. Coming from a config controller that we've made ourselves another time. Then on initialization, you say base initialize, you say audio play song, and you say change scene to the new title scene. Okay. And load content is just saying theme song is content load song audio theme. Nothing special there. Um, I wonder. Let me look at the core library and maybe we bucket that up. Transition scene. Calls the garbage collector, goes active scene to next scene. If active scene is not null, active scene initialized, that all seems the same. Mm. That's a big change set, but I'm curious as to what happens. We now have proper version of it. I say that, but we should. This is novice game library. Shall we try that quickly and see what happens? Ooh, failed with an error. Yes'm. Yes'm. That makes sense because comma dual vsync. It is though param name vsync. This is basically graphics dot synchronize with vertical trace, vertical retrace equals vsync. That's a much shorter name for that, but that should do it. Okay. And you cacked over for whatever reason. What happened? Somehow failed on the assets. Oh, this is promising. This is going well. Who was it that called you? I need to know. From game run, learning one game run pro. You shouldn't have any need for anything else. Like this should just be part of. game config has vsync in there. Hmm. Yeah, this is. I don't know if that makes sense to me, why that wouldn't build. Yeah, you're not helping. Okay, let's rebuild the asset library for a minute. Where is you? And just build. I think I know what's happening. Half that wrong. Where's your load content thing? Uh, yeah. You don't actually have any mention of assets in you. Why you would fail then? Confused.com right now. Who is calling wrong into us? Yeah. Line 27. Okay. Then in core, you have this initialize, which that's the end of the inexception stack trace. Yeah, we're initializing. Let's try that again. Initialization is here. Base initialize audio, play song, change scene, and protected override load content is just content load of a song, audio / theme. So that should definitely work. Hmm. Okay, let me. Where's core? Uh, let's go and roll back just a bit here. This is our original. Okay, let me go and get rid of those two usings. We don't need those. You go build again. Tell me what's failing and we'll take it from them. Okay, build succeeded. But then you crash out when we go there. Okay, let me... If we just need to debug that, maybe it's easier for me to say we're setting a stop point, a breakpoint at a certain point. Where are we going to do that? That'll be in the game scene as we hit that escape check. So basically we write here as we do a keyboard check for the escape and it was successful. So this is where we want to break maybe. All right, that's now us right here at this context. And if we go and look at, I think in variables, here's our local variables. So we have our keyboard info, current state is probably actually not all that interesting. We have some random positions and fonts, all that good stuff. So what happens if we then go and run this next call? We call into a new scene. Hmm. Change scene. Only set the next scene value if it's not the same instance as the currently active scene. If active scene is not equal to next, then next scene is the same as next. Okay. It should lead us to next scene being, well, it's the title scene. Yes, you've identified that correctly. Hmm. So interesting enough, if we're going slow enough, it seems to work just fine. So, this is something in the game scene that I've somehow fuckered up. Is it in the? No, I don't think it's actually there. No, this is further up. Let me go and try and recreate the effort of making the scene manager, all that. Like somewhere we're missing a piece. input manager, tile set, texture, atlas. Don't need any of that. We need the core and we need scene. That is the first thing we had worked on. Right, let's think our way through this again. Right, it's derived off of scenes. Is that the namespace we want it to be in? Yes, I guess. Right, and in that class, we have a class. It's a public abstract class called scene. It's iDisposable. Right. It wants a content manager and is disposed. Gets and a private set. That's just a normal getter. Okay. The constructor. Right here. Content is a new content manager of core content service provider. Yes. And content root directory is core content root directory. Makes perfect sense. The finalizer is. I see. This should be fine. We then have an initialize method which just calls load content. Public virtual void load content, virtual void unload content, which actually calls content.unload. Then we have update. It's a public virtual void update game time. Yes, nothing to be done in there. There's a draw call. Public void dispose equals true. GC surprise finalize this. Yes. Disposing. Yes, so this is our actual dispose method that checks for bool disposing if disposing unload content dispose. Yeah. Okay, so that should be absolutely fine. Open the core. So we need an internal static. We start at the top. Static core instance is public static core instance is using a getter for s instance private scene. Active scene is just empty. Next scene is just private statics. Then we have graphics device manager. We have a graphics device. We have a sprite batch. We have a content manager. We have an input manager, an audio controller. Bool exit on escape is a getter setter. We then have our constructor. Core. If s instance is not null, throw new operation invalid operation thing. And graphics as new device manager. This we feed in all of those. We make graphics apply changes. We set the window title. We content root directory. So base content root directory is yes assets. It's mouse visible. Exit on escape. They're all true at that point. So then we go through initialization, which does base initialize. So a new input manager and a new audio controller. Okay. Unload content. Where are you? Unload content right down here. Okay. That probably should have been somewhere nicer. Let's put that right under the initializer. show somewhere here. And it just goes audio.dispose and base unload content. Okay, then we have the update call, which audio update and input update with the game time passed in. If exit on escape and input keyboard was key, just press keys escape. Oh,
Not when next week. You do this.
keyboard was key just pressed. I think that's exactly where we went wrong here. Then we say if next scene is not null, we transition scene. We then say if the active scene is also not null, then update that active scene and give it the delta time and do base update. Okay, I think we're actually getting close here. Draw takes the active scene and draws it if it's not null, and then do a base draw, then change scene to make sure everything's right. If active scene is not the same as the next, go say next scene is next scene, okay. And then transition scene is if active scene is not null, active scene dispose. We then force the garbage collector to collect. And then we say active scene is the next scene is null. And then say if active scene is not null, active scene initialize, okay. I think this was actually really just a me at this point asking for the wrong condition. Because as the switch over was happening, it was probably still seeing that key is pressed and it just kept going with the escape. It didn't do a state change recognition, I want to call it. Let's test that. It was really that stupid. So mute it. And there we go. We hit escape once. We're now back at the title screen. We can jump back into the game. We can hit escape again, and we can hit escape again to let us out of the game. Sweet, sweet, sweet. I love us. Okay. I now need to obviously fix this in the game scene because I did set a breakpoint somewhere where we says, hey, if we're exiting. Oh, you didn't even. No, I think we're fine then. And I think with that, we actually have this lesson complete. So that this was a very silly mistake, actually checking for the wrong keyboard condition change or not change. And with that, we have created indeed a scene management system, and we have created our two main scenes for now. No, the wrong button. Let me go and do like this. Let's do a commit. This basically completes chapter 17. And we'll see we have added a 5x version of original sprite font. We've added title scene and game scene. Core now handles scene changes. Game now only calls title scene. And that's it. And startup. well, only called, not only handles startup and calls into title scene. That's literally what's happening there. Because then the rest is done in the individual stages of the scene to handle all of this. So commit. And yes, I will absolutely sign that commit. Push this out. We are now in a position to say, hey, here, my friend, can I see a new chapter, new pull request for this entire thing? Say thank you.
Good boy. Go ahead.
And create that merge commit. We have yes. So what's the next session? It's texture sampling and tiling backgrounds. Okay. Filtering modes is just basically how you basically upscale and make it look nicer. I understand that part. Adding a scrolling background to the title screen. So I think this is exactly what we're now working on, right? Shall I go into a quick early break because it is exactly sort of that time, and then that would give me a nice chance to sort of yeah, stretch and all that. I was hoping we would finish this today. I'm somewhat doubtful. I'm missing that 1 hour from this morning. But anyways, I think I'm gonna do exactly that. We're gonna jump into a quick break, and then after that we will basically download this texture, and add the title scene in such a way that we will pattern this somehow. With that, I shan't be long, and we'll see you all very soon. And with that, I am back. So yeah, let's just get into a quick implementation there of that. We'll grab main, sync that. Um, check out a new branch now because chapter 18. Oh god, that was no. Oh god, can we rename that? Yeah, delete that branch. Goodness sakes. Let me check out to main. Delete branch, that weirdly written thing. And then let's try that again, shall I? Check out chapter 18. Right, cool. Publish that out. We need copy new link. We bless you. What is going on with my terminal? Assets, images. That's the one. Back in the main thing. Let me now add this to the asset pipeline or content pipeline, I should say. What add DAO, images, add existing item, background pattern PNG, open, and build. Okay. And then the title scene gets a slight update. Press enter origin right underneath here. We'll go and add a few more private properties, very straightforward properties too. If we just look at them right now, that's literally just saying, hey, background pattern, which we haven't filled in yet, but that's fine. Background destination, background offset, yeah, and the scroll speed. Okay, very straightforward. Now this is initialization, where background offset is going to be vector to 0. Okay, and then background destination is core.graphics device.presentation parameters.bounds. Okay. And then we need to load that content, of course. So that is background pattern is core.content load, right? Content.load. It's a texture 2D. It's gotta be if it's an image, right? Images slash background slash pattern dot no dot. Yeah, that is indeed the name. And then during update, we I'm just gonna copy that and we will try and grok it because this is just a bit of decoration. Update and offset updates. Update the offsets for the background pattern wrapping so it scrolls down and to the right. Okay, scroll offset. You're making an offset in which you're determining by multiplying the scroll speed times elapsed seconds or just game delta time. That's your offset, okay? And you say background offset x and y minus equals that offset. Ensure that the offsets do not go beyond the texture bound, so it is a seamless wrap. Sure, if you say so. um, right, we're making a complete new sprite batch quick draw. Once we've cleared the entire thing, we copy, Control V, thank you. Missing one slash there for the commentary. And that draws the background pattern with that offset, I imagine, right? So, I would like to change. Where are the? Let me find the draw call. In here. Where's the score? That's where I want to go. Be here. I really did like that color for that. Wait, and let's do something similar in the title scene where dungeon exposition. So this is where you do this in drop shadow color, and we could basically do this in this color, then this drop shadow. There is here the color I want for that string, and press enter. Gonna do something similar. Maybe something like that to make it a bit more colorful, yeah? And this should lead to a new run on the build. And we should have some color, and we should have a nice moving background even. We'll see. Like on the title screen, that is. And indeed, we have, to color as text, and we have moving background. Nice. Okay, and then as I escape, it jumps back to that title screen. I love it. I think I want to do this again. As I'm with the drop shadow. We're gonna make another draw call here. And if it's in the color, we make it 10F on the layer. And you should actually be the drop shadow color. And then we'll take that position plus vector 2. Oh. How much do we add? Just 10 pixels? Yeah, that seems reasonable. I don't know if I did this right. We will find out. Yes, we have drop text. Actually, it's a bit too far away because smaller text. So it's more like maybe 5 by 5 pixel in or a move. Oh yeah, that looks better. That looks better down there. Okay, cool, cool, cool. What next? That actually finishes our chapter. Would you believe it? Let's push that on. And chapter 18. And we now have nicer title scene, I would say. Title scene. And this was actually all about texture or something, and then texture, yeah. And oh god, it's got a name, that sort of scrolling background. We'll just call it and scrolling background. Right, boom. Sure, I'll sign that. And push that out. Let's thanking you. Yeah, here's that's the pull request I was waiting to build. And yes, do. And then we now talk about user interface fundamentals, understanding game user interfaces. User interface for games can be categorized into two main types, each with their own design consideration. A diegetic UI, these elements exist within the game world itself and often part of the narrative. So the good example for that would be Dead Space. Your health bar isn't such a like a UI element, it's actually on your suit. It's the bar on your suit that fills up or empties. That's a diegetic UI, where the non-diegetic UI is actually printing somewhere on screen, score equals something, yeah. And then there's different ways of essentially laying out those UI elements. We can do this either with absolute positioning, so you know exactly where each element needs to be, and you need to maybe calculate that, or you can do it with a layout engine where you say we have maybe a container. This is almost very much like HTML, where you then say, okay, inside this container we're going to make maybe like a table thing, and it's got 3 rows, and automatically you've got 3 rows automatically sort of aligned and flowing with each other. Anchoring, okay. This is something we will learn in Godot as well, so I don't feel like we need to worry too much about it, but we've seen this probably in something like Word or PowerPoint, where you can take an image or a text and you can tie it to a certain position within your greater body. So that's anchoring. But it stays anchored to that same sort of spot because of the 5 pixel margin from that parent. Docking interfaces, yeah, okay. Then there's a lot you can do. Don't really need to worry about that. We're now making a new UI. So while we're using something called GUM, I've never actually heard of this library if I'm being honest. But while GUM is used in this tutorial, it is only one of many UI libraries available to the monogame community. Some notable others are empty keys, Geonbit UI, as well as the entire game frameworks engine like NES that have their own built-in UI systems. I'm trying to think. There's another one that's actually quite often used. It's a thing I see a lot in games, or mods use it a lot as well. I can't remember at the moment. Doesn't really matter. GUM is a powerful UI layout engine and framework. It provides flexible, efficient system capable of producing virtually any UI layout you might need in your games. While originally developed alongside the Flat Red Ball game engine, GUM has evolved to work seamlessly with other multiple platforms, including Monogame, which we will be using in this tutorial. Okay. So you have a root element, containers, controls, and visuals. Okay, I've seen this sort of before. Let's not spend too much time on the insides of every single thing. Let's go to updating our game to use GUM. So first we need a new reference in. Yeah. Where? So you want it added to the actual game project. Are we sure about this? Yeah, okay. Okay, UI is... That feels weird to me. I would almost be tempted to do this in the library. But maybe we are later on. Maybe we'll just say yes. So first off, we are now in chapter 20. Let's go and check out main, which should have a few changes for us to pull in. And then I will go and branch off into chapter 20. Okay. And then add NuGet package, I figure, right, to the actual game. And it's called gum.monogame. Let's see if we can find a version for that. Gum monogame, yes. And which version do you want me to use? 2512. 2025.12.91 is the version you are using here. I figure you could probably upgrade this easily, but it's fine. Okay, so that's basically just added a reference to the project file saying, hey, we also needed this NuGet package from the outside world. So first download the UI sound effect by right-clicking the following and saving as UI wave and content audio. That's easy enough. We've done that quite a few times, so we'll go and jump into our terminal. Assets, no, audio. Audio, please. And wget just that file. There's the actual content library. Let me now go and say audio, add an existing item, which is ui.wav, open and save, rebuild. We should do a clean first and then build it, something like that. So that's not part of it. Oh, I may have forgot. We'll need to see if that went wrong or not. It's a sound effect processor, right? Yeah, yep. No, this is fine. Because you can actually even then say what it's going to be like, if it's a sound effect or a song. Interesting. You can even import videos that way. But okay, we no changes needed. And we apparently now go back to the actual game, and then very top we say we initialize gum a whole bunch of time, a whole bunch. Okay. I feel like I want to do this fairly early on. So like say here, this is a private void initialize bless you, gum, you don't need anything. I'm just grabbing commentary. Basically this is gum service dot default initialize this and default visuals version. You want me to use this? Can we shorten this though? And yes, you will complain. I will tell you, please. Oh, for the love of... Hold that thought. Look clean. Excuse you, I'm in the wrong place. That's why. And make debug. Pardon me. That's what I wanted. It's just gum forms, okay. So like that. Okay, next, what are we doing? We tell the gum service which content manager to use, okay, we can do that. And it says gum service dot default. What's going on with the code completions at default? Content loader dot xna content manager equals core dot content. Literally just passing in hours, I think. Wished. Input game control, keyboard control, gamepad control. Okay, I'll just copy that quickly. See what that looks like. Oh God. Also, you failed on what? On this here. That's why I wasn't getting proper decent completions. You have no awareness of proper context, I think. Yeah, look at that. Much better. So we now... That's a possible null reference value, but using GUM forms controls, right? We then say, hey, framework element tab reverse key combos add new key combo constructed like this. There's a new key combo, yes, but it has a constructor like this where you say push key equals Microsoft Excel. Which one? Keys down. That one. Oh, wait. And we're basically doing this again. Tab key combos. Down. So new key combo, push keys, Microsoft NXMA, yep. Windows keys down. And then we're doing this, and we'll probably understand it once we print it out. Or put it down. The assets created for the UI were done so at 1/4 the size to keep. So at 1/4 the size to keep the size of the textures Atlas small. So we will set the default canvas size to be 1/4 the size of the game's resolution. Then tell GUM to zoom in by a factor of 4. I guess. I guess. And then initializing. Once we've done initializing, we actually say initialize GUM. And then we need to change the title scene now. Okay. We need a few private fields, which we're just gonna quickly grab. This is UI design and everyone hates it, so do I, but it's fine. It's fine. Creating a title panel. Because I think that would make our draw class completely different. Okay, so add the following fields to the title scene class, and then we'll make a new function, and we'll do this right here, because that's a bit of a okay, basically what we're doing here is we're setting up a complete new container to hold all the buttons and items. We then make a start button that we anchor at 5 minus 12, and what width it has, there's text in it. We don't have a handler for that. That's fine. We'll get those. Make another button. And then this is anchored. This different. So this one's bottom anchored to the bottom left. This one's bottom right. So that's how they end up actually not overlapping each other. And there's our two handlers. So we're gonna need event args comes from using system. Then we have handle options. That needs, being assigned, because we're now basically saying when you click an options button, add that click property, or add to the click property this function called here, handle options clicked. And then you make a big old options panel, which is fairly big apparently. It's going to do just like that. We're missing a few handlers still. This is basically just copying and pasting because we have more interesting things to do once we've got all this together. This is literally just now boilerplating another UI, right? Basically, how do we handle a sound effects slider? And it's literally just a slider from minus to maximum. And you basically set the volume to whatever the value is. Play sound effects gonna be played when the sound effects slider has changed, or probably music slider, same idea. Yeah, change the volume of the sound or the audio in that case. So let's handle music slider. So that's unchanged, and then once the change is completed, we then play sound effect, UI sound effect again. And then we have a handle options button back, so that's there. And now we initialize the UI, which, oh God. Integrate with the game loop, so now on the actual initialize, we need to do things slightly different. Where is bloody initialize? Here. Base initialize is still true. Core exit on escape is still true. All right, okay. So all we do right down here at the bottom is initialize UI. All right, and then load content. Once we have the background pattern, UI sound effect is core.content dot load a sound effects audio slash UI, I think. It's obviously like this. Slightly typoed. Yeah, load sound effect, that's exactly what we're doing then. And an update, we just add GAM service default update game time because it too wants to know the difference between current time and a previous time. Now we change the draw call entirely, which we, yes, clear out the graphics device. We sprite batch the background pattern, that's still exactly as is, but then from here we do things differently. So how far down does this go? This is all the way to the end of this. Yeah, so we get rid of all of this for a second here. We need to wrap this up now nicer. If title screen buttons panel dot visible, that is visible. And that wasn't meant to be an exclamation mark, just like so. Right. If the title screen buttons panel is set as visible, I'm just gonna copy this, fuck that. Control C. Then basically what happens, this becomes slime text, and then anything slime text is now Dodger. Nope. That is fine. Oh, also, after that if statement, we still need to then tell the gum service to actually do the draw call. Gum service default dot draw. I think just like that. So the gum updates its controls in the update method and draws them in the draw method. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Let's see if we have got a successful build. We may not. And we have an error. Okay, well, what happened? Problems, the type text runtime could not be found, are you sure? Is that just missing this, possibly? Nullability, dereference of possible null values. This is fine, I think. Let's see. Please build. With 19 warnings. Warnings I do not care about. Make run. Yes, make run will do. Bless you. Okay, cool. So, we have an actual UI here. Options. Can turn the volumes up and down. Start. We have a game. Bless you.
Yeah.
And then as I hit escape, we go back to options or start. Hey, look at that. Look at that. We have an actual UI. Look at that. I love it. That's, straightforward enough. I don't think I would do it necessarily like this. There's something about this that just makes me feel a little queasy inside and doing UIs like this. But sure, it's fine. Yeah, there's probably better ways of doing this. But anyways, that is fine. So we've now implemented the UI with Gum. I think. No, we're not quite done yet, because all we've done is sort of replaced our starting screen with something a little bit nicer, but we now need to still do more game scene stuff to maybe interact with the options from there. So what I'll do though is we'll do and make a commit here. Added, well, yeah. Added Gum UI UI implementation. Sick. We also added a UI sound asset, and we updated content pipeline, or content library, I should say, asset library. And replaced static UI, because that's what it was. It's still somewhat static, but it's more dynamic now than it was before. So we go and commit that. Yes, I will sign that. That is mine.
That's fine.
And then we're making some changes in the game scene, which we need some new properties. Somewhere here, or maybe further down here. And let us just copy those in quickly, because they are literally just that. We have a panel, a button, and a sound effect, which at the moment you have no awareness of, but we will teach you. First off, to pause a game, we can even do that now in future. Basically it says pause panel is visible, true, and resume button is focused, true. Right, cool. Check keyboard input. We need to, instead of changing back to the main scene, we need to now say pause game. So that is as we check for keyboard input. And so it's not chord change scene, instead it is pause game. Was just pressed pause game, and then you do a return from that, apparently. Sure. The same for the gamepad. Which I'll bring it in like this. Patch enough. So something like this. Let's make the panel down here. Something like this. And still missing two handles there, which are coming right now. So this is handle resume button, which we are playing sounds again, play sound effect, UI sound effect, and then say that the pause panel is not visible anymore. So that's when we hit resume. When we hit quit, then audio play sound effect again, the UI sound effect, and change to the title scene. Makes sense. We need to initialize that UI. And now we need to change our for loop. So let me find our actual initialize call. We do base initialize core and exit false, yes. Screen bounds, room bounds, that's all fine. Assign random bat velocity is also fine. We just need to say initialize UI. Load content needs you to also load in UI sound effect is core content dot load sound effect audio slash UI, and then in our actual update call update we do gum service dot default dot update game time. That's that passed in. And if pause panel dot visible is visible even is visible, return, apparently just return null things. And then at the end of draw we draw the UI. So where's my draw call? Right there. Core sprite badge end. That's for the score. Okay, so the score itself isn't done through UI yet, through the GUM UI, but that's fine. For now we'll just say GUM service default draw. That's the draw call because that's where we are in, and it doesn't take any parameters, and off we go. Well, shall we try that? Because we should now be able to pause the game and in the middle of running it. So like, let's try this, right? Okay, that already sounds like a game. We go in, we have indeed the same functionality as before, escape, right? Resume or quit. Let's go and turn the music down. Yep, get some points, escape. This is cool. Like we've now paused the game. You can see like none of the bats in the background or that nothing is moving. And we'll just quit and say thank you for that. And so with that, we've now done a more efficient UI way of doing UI. And then we could go and customize this. Okay, so this is going to get a bit more in depth again, which, wow, we have a lot still to do. You know what? This is a good point to call it for today. We've done a lot. We've now got a nice UI. We have a fairly nice version of the game, much better than it was days before. So let me go and commit some sort of message here, right? Upgraded or updated game scene. That's why I'm finishing. Scene UI to work with GumUI, something like that. Right. Boom, sync those changes out. And then we are getting ready to raid out because I've had enough for today. We've done enough. We've done a lot, as a matter of fact. I think we definitely want to do a pull request though, make sure it's all nicely more merged in, right? So when you make a new pull request, we'll just say thank you. This is literally what we've done for chapter 20. Here's your messages. This is all fine. I love it. And as of tomorrow, we then go into customizing this GumUI. So we'll make some nicer font basically. Then we'll maybe look into, implementing the actual snake mechanics, from the snake game that we know our love and know from our old Nokia 3210s. Then we'll go complete the game, sort of some finishing touches, get maybe some shaders going, who knows. We won't publish to itch.io, we'll probably do something on Codebug there, but this has been fun so far, and with that, let me go and get us ready for raiding out, shall we? We have done enough for today. I absolutely feel that, honestly. With that, let me go and pass us on to the raid screen on the ending scene. Also, thanks everyone for joining me today. It's been absolutely amazing. Let me go and try and find someone to raid us out to. Twitch.tv. Yeah, we're not listening to just anyone. I need to sort of look at. I want to keep it in small numbers and be supportive. Ooh, yeah, I think this is actually a good idea. We haven't been in a wee while. And I will go and prepare a raid message. We should also get a raid button. Fantastic. Yes, that is this. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. You're all amazing. Like, honestly, I couldn't do this without you. It wouldn't be half as fun and all that. But yeah, with that, I will be back tomorrow. Probably just continue this and maybe finish it off. But yeah, love yous all and peace out. Bye.